All right, next question says, my competition is a week out and I just did my openers. The squat and deadlift opener went great. I feel really comfortable with what I've chosen. I'm thinking I'm going to set a few new PRs on my lifts this weekend. For my bench, though, not so much. What I thought would be a good opener was a struggle, so I'm clearly going to have to be making some adjustments on my numbers for the bench meet. But as going forward, I think my bar path is what's limiting my progress on the bench. I don't think I'm driving the bar back to my shoulders and head at the bottom of the lift. And I think it's more of a press up and then back. How do you suggest I teach myself a new bar path? Should I lower the working weights and kind of tear it down a bit and then work back up? What I would recommend is kind of a three-prong approach. And we do this really with any weaknesses. We're going to take a three-prong approach. One is with your competition exercises. With your competition exercises, you just have to practice it. You have to practice doing it correctly. So if there's any heavier or higher RPE work, that's not a great time to be learning the new pattern. So we want to make sure that the strategy that you're using has a sufficient amount of low RPE work so that you can practice that new movement pattern. Now, that's only for the beginning. And as you kind of continue through the training blocks, you need to get that higher RPE work in so that you can ingrain that motor pattern even with higher efforts and heavier weights. So the competition lift is all about practicing doing it correctly, practicing with the correct technique. And really, in a case like this, it's not a technical error like a setup error or an eccentric error where just lowering the weights and, kind of redoing it correctly is going to be the fix. What you need to do is to force yourself to execute the concentric correctly. And that's going to require us to kind of pull the weights down just a little bit. And I think the best way to do that is not necessarily through you being conservative with RPEs or anything like that, but it's just through utilizing a submax effort method. I think that's going to get at the core of that technical practice. Now, the second prong is with your assistance exercises. You want to practice that movement pattern and choose assistance exercises that really emphasize that movement, pushing the bar back to your shoulders early, instead of pressing the bar out. So movements that I like for doing that are pin presses, which you're probably already familiar with. And that's probably the most specific movement. So I would recommend kind of keeping that more toward the end of the training cycle. In the beginning of the training cycle, I would opt more for something like an incline pin press. That's going to help. It doesn't have to be a super steep incline. It can be 45 degrees. I wouldn't go higher than 45 degrees, but somewhere in there will be great. And same thing as a pin press, but doing an incline pin press is going to help kind of ingrain that pattern of getting the bar back over your shoulders quickly. So you're going to want to select assistance exercises like that. Those two are really good ones. So you'll want to utilize those. You can still utilize things like pause press and stuff like that, but those two will be probably the best ones in terms of teaching you that motor pattern. And then the third prong is when it comes to supplemental exercises. Now remember, supplemental exercises are about muscles, not movements. Now when we get to the level of supplemental exercises, I want you to focus on shoulders. So we're thinking stuff like overhead pressing, so your standard military pressing, dumbbell military pressing. You can also do more incline work at the supplemental stage. So regular incline pressing, close grip incline pressing. I wouldn't necessarily do the same exercise like an incline pin press that you're doing in the assistance slot, but you can bring the incline in. But the whole point is to train the delts. You want to add some mass, whatever. You want to add some strength, add to your ability to contract that muscle. And through the course of, all three prongs working together, I think that's going to be the best approach to moving your bench forward.